Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble and loving salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, it's yet again my privilege to continue the divine saga, his story, through the eyes of his voice. And let us start this evening with our prayer, and I request all of you to please join me in. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Om Shri Sai Ram, and welcome to this episode of His Story Through the Eyes of His Voice. We had this privilege of listening to his story from various angles and from various boys, giving us different dimensions and different approaches and perspectives on Bhagwan. Today, I have another brother who is well known around the world for his music, for his divine blessed voice. For strangely enough, he was not a musician or a singer growing up, and a journey which has taken him to the divine and inspired him so much to make music as his life's offering and a purpose. And that is none other than Brother Ajnish Rai. So it's my pleasure to welcome Brother Ajnish to today evening's session. Sai Ram, Brother Ajnish.
Sai Ram to everyone. Sai Ram.
Let me give a little intro of Brother Ajnish. He grew up in Darjeeling, a very beautiful hill station in India. And he came to Bhagwan for studies and joined in Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School in 1989. After doing his secondary, he continued to do his graduation in BSc, and then he also did his master's. So he studied in both the campuses. He did his graduation in Vrindavan, and then he came back and did his master's from Prashantanilayam campus, and he graduated with master's degree in 1995. And later on, as divine wills and destiny governs, Ajnish went into music, and then he travels around the world singing the glory of the Lord. And presently, he has his own studio, little small but effective. He is a musician full time. So, Brother Ajnish, welcome to this episode of His Story Through the Eyes of His Voice.
Thank you, Abhimanyu, for calling me to join in this wonderful program. And through this medium, I would like to extend my heartfelt Sai Rams to all the devotees watching this particular episode, and wish you all the best of health during these trying times. And as the program continues, I will be sharing with you some experiences with Bhagwan and some episodes of our college days.
Sure, look forward to that. Let me start off, Ajnish, with a very apparent question. What is music for you today? How do you look at music?
Well, as of today, music is a way, a way to sigh. I would not like to repeat the famous quotes that music is my life and music is everything. For me, music is just a way to sigh.
Wonderful. And we will love to hear this journey of how this became your way and where have you reached through this way. So let us start this journey
Mhm.
by sharing with us how did you get to know about Bhagwan sitting in hill station of Darjeeling?
Um, when I first went to Parthi, I had never seen idli or I had never seen pongal or I had never ever, I had no idea of coconut being added to sweets and to dishes, let alone Sai Baba. So I was such a novice, so naive about Swami that I had never heard of Vibhuti or Sai Baba or Shirdi Baba. But apparently, uh, my maternal grandfather, they were the pioneers in bringing Sai revolution in the hills. They were the
Oh,
devotees of the late 50s and 60s. So it was through him that I filled up the application form for college. That was for the higher secondary school. And I somehow, of course, it is divine will. With my dad, in the year 1989, I came down to Puttaparthi to get admission. And when I was asked by the interviewer, why do you want to join Sai College? I just told that my mother wanted me to have good education. So that was all I told. And strangely enough, I got admitted. Yeah.
so you were honest about it.
Well, I guess what I answered was of little relevance because once Swami wills, this person is going to come and study here and that he's going to train. It does not matter what we decide, what we say, right?
So your father's side, there was no exposure to Bhagwan, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So when he sent you, he didn't object to that.
Well, we went down as per our grandfather's, suggestion. We came to Puttaparthi and we saw around the campus for some time, and it was extremely impressive with the buildings and with the planetariums. Imagine a college, university having its own planetarium, and the everything was so impressive. So I saw there was an electron microscope unit, MRI. What was that? Magnetic resonance. Some center was there. I thought this must be a great university, definitely. And of course, I did not realize that we had to go for Bhajan and Darshan and Suprabhatam and all that. So perhaps in the history of Puttaparthi, I was one student who asked our wing teacher, that was Kote sir. In my 11th standard, I asked him, is it compulsory to go for darshan and bhajan? I have come here for education. I think I'm wasting my time there.
Ajnish, you asking this question? That's interesting. And what
Yeah.
response did you get?
Well, Kote sir told me, yeah, he probably thought this is coming from a genuine space. So he told me, do you know who all sit there for darshan and bhajan? And I had heard Maynard Ferguson, the world famous trumpeter, musicians of great renown, and then again people like Sinclairs and NASA scientists were all sitting there for darshan, big politicians. So I took their names and I told Kotesa, okay, these people sit there. And he just told me one thing. He told me, do you think they are fools? Do you think they are wasting their times there? So that did for a teenager, right? It was logically understood that these great people are surely not wasting their time. And I started going for darshan and bhajan. And what gripped me, for around 6 months, I did write to my father. Probably you'll have to come back and take me to a different university because there is this Sai Baba who comes around, creating things and taking interviews, and there is bhajan and suprabhatam. There's hardly any time for study, so probably you'll have to shift college. But in those 6 months, what gripped me was Swami's presence itself. When you are in his presence, something happens to you. I cannot explain it in words. I cannot describe it in English or in my any language what happens. Everyone's experienced that, right? It washes over you, it washes over your soul. I've seen some people crying and weeping, I've seen some people in tears, I've seen some people smiling continuously. But for me, it was kind of, it shook my roots. And I stopped feeling a kind of this heaviness, this body, this mind, everything. I used to lose that feel. And I started getting intoxicated in that feel. I used to float back to the hostel. Actually, it was kind of a blissed out state, without speaking anything. That was before even Swami uttered a single sentence to me. I used to feel that kind of a vibration that as he passed close by, he used to fill my being with that. His presence used to feel, give my, that kind of induction, right? So that kept me on. Hmm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So, when was the first time you had any interaction with him, so called?
First time when first time Swami spoke to me was in the veranda. I was sitting with the students, and he came and saw, looked at my face, and he told, "Itna sad castor oil face kyun hai? Be happy."
Why do you have such a sad and castrile face?
Yeah, be happy. That was my first interaction.
So sweet.
Well, I did have a very sad face because I was quite unsatisfied, right? That at that particular moment about my choices, about having to settle in for bhajans and do suprabhatam and stuff, which I had never done before, which was quite meaningless for me that time. But then there was another factor because I had lost my mom when I was about 15 years of age, and there was a big, very big vacuum in my life. And all the time I was kind of in a very plaintive mood, you know, being all alone. So somehow Swami started filling in that vacuum through his love, his generosity, his caring. And I will tell you some incidents wherein Swami slowly filled in that vacuum and entered
Sure,
my life. Mhm.
sure.
I remember uh, we used to be sent money, pocket money, through the post that time. There was no ATMs, there was no, Google Pay and online transfers. So we used to eagerly wait for the postman to come, and I used to get 300 rupees for a month, which was quite a lot in Puttaparthi. But now something happened back home, and my father or the post, whatever, I had not been receiving the pocket money. And so I was avoiding the fruit stalls and the evening snacks and stuff. So for a few days, my friends allowed me to join them in the snacking, and we used to get lovely veg patties and watermelon and stuff like that, pizzas sometimes. Well, so, and after a few weeks, it was kind of being awkward to, always be asking the boys to pay for the stuff. So during the after bhajans, when we used to head hostel and buy stuff from the fruit stall, I used to just loiter around the stadium and come back a little later. And I was feeling sad. Probably my dad has forgotten me, and these type of feelings used to come. And it had been about 3 months. Then in one of the uh, darshans, Swami called me, and he just out of the blue, he called me in the interview room, and he had a small cupboard. He opened it, took out a tin, and he took out two 500 rupee notes. If I can remember properly, it was 1,000 rupees, but he put it in my shirt pocket, and he told me fruits or viva khao. Imagine. So that was just beyond me, right? Who would have told him, or how would he have known? He had the hospital construction going on that time, and so many things going on, the whole world to take care of, and he can take care of some insignificant person who does not have full faith in him, and he knows exactly what to give him, right? So that was the day I sang Sai Mata Pita Dina Bandhu Sakha Tere
Why
Charanon
don't we
Mein.
start with that bhajan? So why don't you sing one bhajan for us?
Yeah,
I
that
think that will be nice.
that evening I sang Sai Mata Pita, and one of my relatives was also there in the darshan that time. It was winter, and he told me, "You sang with some other emotion today." I also cried. So I must have really, really felt that 1,000 rupees. मुझे शक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा, मुझे भक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा, मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा। साई माता पिता दीनबंधु सखा, साई माता पिता दीनबंधु सखा, तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम, तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम। मुझे शक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा, मुझे भक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा, मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा, मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा। So this was
Ajnish,
the
how wonderful! How did this singing started? You said you are not originally a kind of a musician. So
oh
how
yeah.
did this journey of music start?
Well, I have noticed in Puttaparthi the, the atmosphere, the staff and the teachers, even our colleagues, our friends, they are so supportive of each other's talents, each other's abilities. They help each other. They are so, it's such a wonderful community that when there was an audition for singing, and that occasion was Swami was coming to the hostel, right? And they were recruiting new brothers, newcomers to sing a welcome song. So I auditioned for it. I sang a Nepali song. And I guess Sailesh Srivastav sir, wonderful music teacher, a physics teacher actually, but
Actually,
great
physics teacher.
gifted, great gifted composer and amazing person. He was there. Sai sir was there, uh, and I'm talking about my 11th standard. Okay, so I sang this song, and they selected me to sing. There was one song called "Dil Jhoom Jhoom Gaye, Man Jhoom Jhoom Nache, Mere Baba Aaj Aaye, Mere Baba Aaj Aaye." A very
Ajnish, with you, I don't feel like stopping you. So if you tell the song in singing,
okay.
that will be much interesting for
It
everybody.
was दिल झूम झूम नाचे मन झूम झूम गाए मेरे बाबा आज आए मेरे बाबा आज आए तू जो कहे तो लाऊं मैं तोड़ के सितारे कदमों में डाल दूं मैं गुलशन जहां के सारे ऐसा कुछ था. It's been like almost 30 years, right? So I forget the lyrics. But this was my first song before Bhagwan. And Swami was in his jhula in the hostel quadrangle. And I was singing this, and Swami asked, "Ye kahan se aaya ye ladka?" And some of my seniors told Swami Darjeeling se. And that little response which Bhagwan gave was, I didn't think much of it, but my friends and my seniors, they were urging me to, go forward and ask Swami to sing in mandir. Now, getting permission to sing in mandir is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I have seen uh, boys who have tried and tried throughout their entire education, right from primary school to masters to PhD. They have not still got a chance to sing in mandir.
Oh God.
But then in the mandir, these boys from behind literally pushed me in front of Swami. I was reluctant to ask, and somebody from behind pushed me in front of Bhagwan, right in his way, and I had to ask, Bhagwan, can I sing in mandir? And Swami told, of course. And that response was later on, I heard from many of my seniors, it's very unusual because Swami usually tells, practice karo or practice karo. And to some he says, warden ko puchna hai, music teacher ko pucho, Sailesh sir ko pucho. But for me it was, of course, this is your job. It's going to be your career. I didn't know that. And there, that's how I started. The
And what
first
was your
bhajan
first bhajan you sang?
was, it was जय जय कृष्ण यदुनन्दन जय जय वृन्दावन चन्दन जय जय कृष्ण यदुनन्दन. And immediately the following morning I get called in the interview room. Swami told me, it's not Krishna, you're spoiling the pronunciation and thereby you're spoiling the meaning. And he told Krishna. It has to be Krishna. I argued with Swami. I told it does not fit in the beat. And Swami told me, why? You sing it once, it will fit in beat. And I was singing Jaya Jaya Krishna, Krishna. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Oh.
Krishna. Now, how will I fit Krishna? So Swami asked me to sing it with Krishna short. Jaya Jaya Krishna, Krishna. Immediately it sounded genuine, right? That pronunciation. So that was my first education in
In,
pronunciation and singing proper words. So after that, I became very, very conscious of pronunciation, and that really helped me a lot in my singing career later on. Hmm.
so you started enjoying the bliss of sitting in front and singing bhajans?
Oh, after that, the second song, let me try. It was a, I was a very ambitious singer, I wanted all the difficult songs and stuff like that. So this particular bhajan was my second song. मथुराधिपते कृष्ण मुकुन्द मधुसूदन घनश्याम वेणुविनोदन परितीरमण यदुकुलभूषण राजीवलोचन पर्तिपुरीश्वर जय मनमोहन मधुसूदन घनश्याम. ऐसा कुछ.
Sonam's composition, right?
Amazing. It's in Rag, Bihag. And then what happened was Sonam sir put his own scale for that bhajan. So this I sang in Kali Ek, he's put Kali Do. So I remember screaming those high lines, and I felt totally, dissatisfied with my singing, and I wondered how horrible it might have sounded out. So then again the sitting right there in front of Bhagwan, with the tiger facing you. There's a big tiger skin under his throne.
Yeah.
And it stares right into your mouth, into your face, and Swami sitting there. You don't know when your bhajan will get stopped. You don't know. Actually, when you sing, suddenly you start losing sense of the world. When Bhagwan is sitting right there and you're singing, you start losing sense, and it's quite an unnerving feeling. You're not control of the situation. We are used to having control of the situation, and here things are just happening by itself, and it's quite a scary feeling, losing sense of what you are doing and whether you are doing properly or not. So this, I started feeling really agitated sitting there in front of Bhagwan and singing. Whereas prior to my getting a chance in singing inside, I used to sit back and just relax and enjoy the view, right, and the music, and it used to be so peaceful experience. But now you have to sit right in front of Bhagwan, and then it's such so much tension, and you have to start your bhajan. There should not be a gap. You have to catch the shruti properly. You have to. There are so many, not miss a beat. Otherwise, Bhagwan will look at you immediately because he's very musically, very, very sensitive. Thoda sa off. If you sing a little bit off, also he'll say Appa Shruti.
So it is not as pleasant an experience to sit and sing in front of Bhagwan.
Well, at that time, it was not such a pleasant experience, right? So what I did was I started going back. I sat near the garage and regained my, you know, that blissful state while singing bhajans, while following bhajans. It was so much peaceful than sitting inside Mandir. So one fine day, Bhagwan comes up and he looked at me very, angrily, and he told, "Tongue cut gaya," meaning, "Have you cut your tongue?" Well, I didn't answer anything, but Warden sir called me later on, and then he told me, "Do you know what Bhagwan's meant by that? He has given you such a chance that is coveted by the greatest singers of the world. Everyone wants to sing before Bhagwan, to have this opportunity. And you have been given that opportunity, and yet you are sitting there like a fool near the garage, and not, it's not just an opportunity. If Bhagwan has given you a chance, it is also a responsibility. So it is your responsibility now to sing bhajans, to lead bhajans. And if Bhagwan gives anybody a responsibility, Bhagwan gives him the strength and the ability to carry on that responsibility. So again, I was back in front of the tiger. Right. So that really was such a, imagine Bhagwan getting on your case, like there were thousands, hundreds of singers, right? Bhagwan could have had any great singer come and perform for him every day. If he wanted Bhimsen Joshi or Jagjeet Singh or Jalota or Ghantasala, anybody. But why this? There are millions of singers better than me, well versed in classical, who have greater voices. But I wonder why this thing has come upon me, and Bhagwan has given me this splendid opportunity, right?
It's a blessing, no doubt about it. So, how did you start playing instruments, harmonium?
Oh, well, it was in Kode. It was about, I went there, joined Puttaparthi in 89. 90 was my 12th, and again I went over to Whitefield, Brindavan to study uh, BSc, Life Sciences. And in my second year, along with my friend, singer Santosh Pai and Yashab Giri,
Hmm.
Swami chose us to go to Kodai, right? Three of us singers and the rest all good boys. Yeah. Swami, in fact, made it very clear that I am not choosing you all because you are good or disciplined or you have obeyed Swami's commands or you are spiritually progressed enough to go to Kodai with me. Swami told, "You are just singers. That's why I'm taking you." So he gave us
Three.
a 3 month, yeah, cold treatment before taking us to Kodai. All because we had purchased summer vacation tickets back home, right? We had purchased our tickets. For that, Swami, gave us a long, 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 long treatment. He used to avoid us during darshan. Imagine three boys sitting on one side and rest of the university sitting on the other side because Swami used to avoid us like crazy. It was such a time, and I did not know what I did wrong, Bhagwan. And then Narsimha Murthy sir was there, that time the warden of Vrindavan, and he explained, "See, Bhagwan wants to take you to Kodai. Such a big chance. And you tell him that you have purchased train tickets to go back to Darjeeling? Such silly boys." And you have to ask Swami for forgiveness. And it was all the drama, usually Swami pay to pine for that chance. Well, finally we got to go to Kodai. And once you are in Kode, you are all VIPs, right? You get the. In fact, it was in Kode that I realized that South Indian food could be so tasty. Imagine, yeah. It was. I mean, the only South Indian food I was ever introduced to was hostel idlis and you know the uttapams and stuff like that. But in Kodaikanal, the idli was some other level. It used to just melt in your mouth, Even though food was extremely divine food. And yes, well, strangely enough, there was no harmonium player amongst us, amongst the musicians. So I was making do with whatever little knowledge I had of harmonium, putting just the shruti and singing. But then I was told that when Bhagwan sings, you have to play. So what I did was I started playing Hari Bhajan Abhina. In normally Bhagwan sings in D, Safed Do. That is his scale, right? So I managed a couple of times. Then suddenly Bhagwan, in another day, he sang in a different Shruti. So I was struggling with the notes and trying to figure out where the notes are, right? And Bhagwan was enjoying. He was watching at me, and you know. And then what I did, my friend suggested you learn this bhajan in all the 12 notes. All the 12 notes. So wherever Bhagwan sings, high or low, you can match the shruti. So I sat throughout the night and I played Hari Bhajan Abhina in all 12 notes. And you know what Bhagwan does the following day after discourse is, I'm ready. I'm ready with Hari Bhajan Abhina in any scale. And Bhagwan starts, Prema Mudita Manase Kaho Ram. So again, I'm sitting through the night learning Prema Mudita Manase Kaho. And then suddenly another day, Govinda Krishna Jai, and Bhagwan is enjoying this drama. So it so happened that in about 1 month, we spent about 2 months almost Bhagwan with Bhagwan in Kodaikanal and Uti. I could play whatever, anything I hear, I could just pick up on the harmonium. So it was just thrust upon me this particular ability. So even
So
nowadays,
beautiful. So
yeah,
beautiful, eh?
I run music classes, and people ask me, "Do you teach harmonium?" And I'm at a loss because I have never had that systematic, progressive, step by step learning because it was all it was all granted to me straight away. So I don't teach harmonium ever.
So it was a divine bestowing on you the instrument.
It's absolutely, it was just given to me. It was just handed to me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think this is how such a sweet memories of Bhagwan, how he knows our future, he knows our abilities, and we may not even acknowledge that we have that hidden in us somewhere. But that is a
Absolutely.
blessing to be guided by him that way.
Bhagwan is actually reading, was making me ready for what I'm supposed to do, right? Because without knowing how to play the harmonium, I would not have been able to go around and really do bhajans properly. Without knowing the scales, I would have to rely on some harmonium player.
Did you also happen to, what should I say, compose any bhajans?
Yes, I did compose quite a few.
If you don't mind, introduce us with one of your bhajans which we can enjoy.
Well, this was the first bhajan I composed in Puttaparthi itself. माता जगदम्बे मां हे जग जननी साई मां माता जगदम्बे मां, हे जगज्जननी साई मां, हे दयामयी साई मां, हे कृपामयी साई मां, हे मां साई मां, हे मां साई मां, हे मां साई मां, हे मां साई मां, माता जगदम्बे मां, हे जगज्जननी साई मां.
Beautiful.
So this bhajan was the first bhajan I composed when I was studying MSc in Puttaparthi. And after I finished my MSc, I did a recording. That was my first album, Mahasai, and these bhajans were included there. Yeah. After that, I did quite a lot of Sai bhajans. We did the Living God series, which was Puttaparthi bhajans done in very Puttaparthi way. No music, just harmonium shruti and then straight away singing. So this was done basically for devotees to uh, get the original tune of Puttaparthi bhajans. Because as the bhajans spread all over the world, they get distorted and mm, twisted in many ways. So the idea of doing the Living God series with Unicorn Music in Mumbai, actually they were also very instrumental in spreading Swami's message thus. Raviraj Salankar and Hemantullal, both based in Mumbai, and they were the proprietors of Unicorn Music and Marketing. They
Yeah,
were
we
the first.
remember. I think that series went very well. People
Oh
really
yes,
appreciated that
right.
very
And
much.
they were the first Balvika students.
Oh, really? Okay.
First
Nice,
Balvika
nice.
students. And somehow see how Swami brings everybody together to do his
Together,
job.
right. See, we don't know all of that. Let me take you back to your hostel and college days,
Okay.
and there are so many activities we were involved with. So, what was your favorite? I should say co-curricular activities of the hostel life. You were in
See, music
sports,
was
dramas.
music was the main thing, right? Drama,
Hmm.
dramas. I was involved in music. But apart from that, most of the trophies I ever, Swami gave to me, I could get a chance to be up close with Swami to receive the trophies and shields, whatever, was for, strangely enough, it was for karate.
Oh, really?
Yes. Some people find it strange to, that karate and singing and these things don't go well together. But it was very strange. Uh, there was this karate master by the name of Giorgio Maras from Italy, Sardinia, and he was a fifth degree black belt. And Swami came in his dream and he told, "You come to Puttaparthi and teach my boys." So if you can see in the slide there, uh, yes,
Next
that
to
is
you.
me, right? That's me on the left. Then Giorgio Maras, who's a master, and Rakesh Chencheri, who is one of my very good friends. And other was an Italian devotee who used to translate for Giorgio because he never spoke a word of English.
Oh my God.
Yes, and it was strange. He came to Puttaparthi and used to do seva in the foreigners' canteen along with
Yeah.
Shakuntala auntie, right? And Giorgio was such an amazingly spiritual person. He taught us karate, But he taught us what it is to communicate and to teach a skill like karate without using words. So there in that slide we have translator Hans and Giorgio in the middle wearing the black belt, and that was our gym in Vrindavan. And Swami uses so many instruments to teach his boys, you know. And this Giorgio Maras, our master, was such a great devotee, so dedicated that he sent his disciples. Now, in this slide, if you see the two people, the two Fabio and another one is also Fabio Catani, whom Giorgio sent from Italy to train us for a black belt. He was so dedicated. And finally, on December 23rd, 1993, I think, we got our black belts, Rakesh and myself, and we got our black belts at 3 a.m. in the morning because there was no time. We were busy with other things. 3 a.m. in the morning, we were sparring outside Old Boys Hostel because that time the Kulwant Hall was not so big. It had a large space outside, the boundaries. And through Giorgio, I did not learn about fighting. Giorgio somehow told us that the fight is with yourself. The fight is with your own mind. It is with your own will you have to fight. And the spiritual practice that really actual karate is it was how Giorgio explained without words to us what dedication is, what physical endurance is. And not only Giorgio, I learned violin from Maren Tank. She still performs with the orchestra in Puttaparthi. She's an old lady now. And Swami's blessed her with a Stradivari and so many, she has had so many experiences with Bhagwan. She's a dedicated German lady. And through these instruments, through devotees, through experiences with different people, we have got an international community in Puttaparthi itself, wherein the students can learn, right?
How did you really get interested in karate? And like normally thinking wise, it looks like karate and spirituality don't go hand in hand. How did
Mhm.
you understand and all that?
Well, uh, there was an event of martial arts always in sports meet, right? Before even we joined, our seniors were doing some sort of karate, and but after we joined in, Swami really brought in these people, the professionals, to make us understand that karate was not just about breaking bones and stones, and yeah, and then thereafter we did train a lot of boys with uh, in karate for the sports meets later on, and we tried and instill in them what we had learned through Giorgio, you know. And Swami did tell me that karate galate. You think Bruce Lee was like you? Bruce Lee was a yogi. That's what Swami told. So karate is also a yoga. Did it help me in later life? Definitely, definitely it helped. It taught me about dedication. Karate. Nothing else teaches you dedication like karate
So
because the hour.
you just made a remark about Bruce Lee. Did Swami talk about Bruce Lee? What is it?
Yes, it was in the interview room after
Hmm.
the sports meet. Swami was teasing me about doing karate, galate. That's how he used to rhyme, you know. And you just jump over the wall and meet the girls on the other side and this and that. And he told, "Do you know Bruce Lee?" I told, "Yes, Swami." Of course, everyone's a big fan of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan that time, right? And Swami told Bruce Lee was a yogi. He was not into the karate and galate like you, but he was a yogi. And in fact, I had such a fascination for martial arts. In fact, more than singing, because singing used to happen in the evening any time, right? But karate was one opportunity where you can bring in all your teenage energy and really channelize it. So in one of the sports meet, I remember we decided to do lion dance, the first time ever, and we decided to make our own lions. So that time I was in Whitefield, Rakesh, myself. So we bought to make the lion's head, right? We bought two big baskets, bamboo baskets from Kadugudi, and then we stitched cloth over it, and we had about 10, 20 people, the participants, right? We have to include everyone. And then we finished our line, and suddenly what happened was there was this Chinese couple who were real lion dancers. They were performers. And Swami had called them. Well, and they came to the hostel and they wanted to check up on our lions. And moment they saw our lions, they started laughing. How are you going to lift these lions? Because it was so heavy and you have to do all the stunts with the lion, take its tongue out, open its mouth, flicker its eyes, and so many things you have to do with the lion. How are you going to lift this lion? You can't hold it for even 5 minutes. But we did our performance for Swami with that same lion.
Really? Oh my
Imagine
God.
it was looking like a long caterpillar, because we had some 20 people inside the lion. But normally the lion's supposed to have just about 3 people.
Two or three. Yeah.
Yeah. And some people were falling from it was a long ridge we were walking on. We were fighting on top of a ridge like this. So some of the boys were falling from the line and dropping. So it was a very funny, and Swami was heartily enjoying from Shanti Vedika all this sight. And we sprained our ankles, and it was all a great experience.
Ajnish, I believe you had some nice thought experience on the drama side also.
Drama, yeah.
You acted like a sage or something.
Oh yes, I have some very funny experiences with Bhagwan. I had a penchant for long hair, even when I was in Parthi. So I was given the role of a sage, South Indian sage, in one of the dramas. And Swami came for the rehearsal. So we were all lined up behind Shanti Vedika. And Swami was looking up the costumes of the kings and queens and everyone. And he looked at me. I was wearing a wig with long hair and looking like Jackie Chan, and. And Swami looked at me and just went away. And he told Warden sir, that sage which this boy is playing is bald actually. So I ended up in Shanti Vedika with a stocking over the remainder of my head as a bald sage. So Swami used to just play around with us.
So you are happy to be sage because you could have long hair, and
Long
he
hair.
just
I
it's
remember
lovely.
another episode of in Kodaikanal. Swami used to give us money to go shopping, right?
Hmm.
And then Swami told me, you go and buy from your in-laws, your mother-in-law. I didn't know what he meant. So he handed over some money to everyone. He used to come out with a wad of notes, and then he used to give money for us to go shopping, go horse riding. And then we went to Kodaikanal, and I realized there were a lot of Tibetan people. So he, because of my features, he had told your in-laws. So I bought a rabbit fur purse, okay, and a sandalwood comb and a mirror. I finished the 500 rupee he had given me and came back. And in the evening session, Swami is asking everyone. He started with the boy, a very pious looking boy. He started, and he asked, "What did you buy?" He told, "Swami, that 500 rupee which you gave is so precious. I just kept it with me." And he told, "Good boy. Dekho, such a good boy." So you know where it's coming to, right? So another boy, "What did you buy?" "He bought a hat." "Stupid, Duna pota. Hat se kya karega Kodaikanal mein?" So it's coming to my, I finished off all my paisa. Another boy starts, it starts getting worse and worse. Swami knows whom to pick, this, he knows which guy has finished his cash. And he came to me and he asked me, "What did you buy?" I told, "Rabbit fur purse." Swami looked glum. I imagine buying a rabbit fur purse. and and it was sandalwood comb and mirror. And Swami didn't say anything. he had he had no words to scold. Imagine those days. Yeah.
Ajnish, you came as nothing new about Swami, right? You came very blank slate. You had no
Correct.
concept about Bhagwan. Your family did not have any orientation in that except for your maternal side. And
Mhm.
now you are living with God. How did you start accepting Him in a different way? And when did you really start looking up to Him as God or any
Mhm.
such thing? If you can give your
Well,
journey.
right. For me, Sai journey began as a very very uh, like a mother, a caregiver, somebody who cares, very worldly level, right? And somebody who is to really care and give chances and talk, and it, in a very 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 personal way. And later on, as I went through the university, slowly the education system and his discourses and his message came through, and through interactions with the environment, slowly that spiritual bud in me started blossoming, I guess. And for me, I see, I don't try to explain in words that Bhagwan is Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva or Rama, because personally, I don't have that kind of background with Lord Shiva or Rama or anything like that, right? For me, Sai is Sai. And he's been in every step of my life in so many ways. He has shown his presence. He has held my hand, right? Being a musician is not easy. Having a career in music is not easy at all. It's tough until, and for nowadays, it's all of a sudden you become a big star and you have got everything. But for music sadhaks who want to go into the, into the depth of music, it's a little tough. But Swami has provided me, provided for me, and given me such a wonderful life, you know, touring around the world, singing His glory, and you know, it's everything, whatever I have, even the guru that I got to learn from in Mumbai, that also Swami himself has provided. So if somebody who is provided everything who means everything to you. So what do you call him? Sai is Sai. And if I have to say that that's what is meant by God, then so be it. I feel it's beyond God, beyond my concept of God at least. Somebody who can be so near and dear and so always be there for you. It's beyond everything and everyone.
So sweet. So sweet. You know, whenever I interact with brothers, I always enjoy how he has trained people to think and remain, humble in that manner. Uh, did you get any opportunity wherein Swami has, made sure that our egos remain on check? I remember last time you had mentioned a story about that, but anything else you want to mention? When he shows you that, be
Right.
hold on to
Every
your
time
ground.
I travel, uh, I meet people, Swami's devotees, and I have been called there to sing bhajans, to train the youths, and to provide them that kind of spiritual kind of proximity, right, through bhajans, proximity to Bhagwan, right? But what I realize is most of the time it's me myself, you know, through those people, through the devotees I meet, I become closer to Bhagwan. I see the activities they do, the seva they do, and the lives they lead, and it's so exemplary and so revealing that I realize that the task I am doing, that the bhajan I am doing, is nothing in compared to the seva they are doing. So every time I travel, well, it's time for humbling myself.
You remember you had in Kodai trip, I believe, you had interacted with Malaysian Vasudevan.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
If you want to tell that story to everybody.
yeah. Swami, he teaches us in. He doesn't always tell you directly so many things. Well, Santosh Pai, Yashab Giri, and myself, we decided to do a program for I guess it's Ugadi or Vishu, one of the festivals. It was April the 13th, 1992, yeah, in Kodaikanal. And I was singing a Malayali song, devotional, of course. Yashab Giri was singing a Tamil song, and Santosh Pai was singing a Telugu song. And Swami was so thrilled, and he was telling his VIPs, see these guys, their mother tongue is Nepali, and he is singing a Malayali song. Yashab Giri's mother tongue is also Nepali, he is also singing a Tamil song. And Santosh Pai is from Maharashtra, he's singing a Telugu song. See my students, what all they are capable of. So uh, during that program, Malaysia Vasudevan was also there, great singer. And we did sing. I sang Mukambike Devi Jagadambike Mupparinum Nitya Varadayige Adiyaniൽ വിടരും പദ്മദളങ്ങളിൽ അവതരിക്കൂ ദേവി അനുഗ്രഹിക്കൂ. It's amazing the pronunciations that are involved here.
This is Malayali song.
Malayalam. Even the L's are all, rolled, and R's are rolled. It's a weird feeling for a non-speaker, the non-native speaker. And Yashab Giri sang Gokulathai Kanna, yeah, something like that. Very difficult Tamil song. But we did our bit, and we felt okay. he could have done better, but then of course Swami was
You
really
managed
praising
it.
us. And so
Okay.
go with it, right? Go with the feel. And evening Swami, in one swerve of his hand, he created uh, one this particular ring, if you can see, and
You lift it
one
up.
emerald ring for, where is the camera? Yeah, it's too bright. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
It's got a home, right? Yeah, an emerald ring for Yashapgiri and a bracelet for Santosh Pai. And we were all thrilled. Swami is happy and so on. And then he asked me, "What song did you sing?" I told, Mukambi Kedu. And Malaysia Vasudevan was there. And he told Malaysia Vasudevan, he used to call him by some name. You sing the first line? And Malaysia Vasudevan's, in one line, he sang it so beautifully, so beautifully that in comparison, I could only imagine how horrible I might have sounded. It was so beautiful, it was so entrancing. And then Yashabgiri, what did you sing? He sang Gokulate. And Malaysia, Vasudevan, can you sing the first line? And Malaysia Vasudevan showed us what those songs are really. And we immediately realized the message, right? It's it's just Bhagwan's grace that we are existing, that we are able to sing. I've I've seen times when in Vrindavan, I'm up on stage with my fellow brothers, you know, and singing for Krishna Janmashtami program, where Pandit Bhimsen Joshi is sitting there in the audience, and he has not been allowed to sing for the program. He came to sing, and Swami refused, and he allowed his boys to sing. And all I did was, Bhagwan, please save me. If Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, a Bharat Ratna, is there sitting in the audience, waiting to sing, waiting for his turn, and we are being given the opportunity. So ऐसा भी हुआ है.
I
So
think it is
it's,
such an humbling experiences, when you recall about it. But he gives you the confidence also to, to sit there and sing. So when did you really started feeling that you want to learn music formally and go ahead?
yes, it was our senior brother Sanjeev Barbara,
He was my
an
classmate. Yeah. Hmm.
exceptionally trained musician and singer. In
Amazing.
fact, he knew his ragas, and in fact, he had studied with Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab for 16 years, sitar and ragas, and again 4 years vocal singing in Calcutta. And he was our senior, and in the year 1995, that was my last year, I asked Sanjeev Barbara, can you just teach me, some bhajans in Rag Yaman? And he rattled off, you know, कोटि प्रणाम शत कोटि प्रणाम आनंदमय भगवान हे दीन दया घन. So all these bhajans are in Rag Yaman. शीतल चरणम. So he told, can you just teach me Rag Yaman? I asked him. And he told me, you hold the sur, I will sing Rag Yaman for you. And I just put Sa and Pa on the harmonium. And he kept on singing for 1.5 hours. And it was an eye-opening, time for me because I did not
Sanjeev
know.
sang for hour and a half. Rag
Right,
Yaman.
he was going on in his Vilambit, Khayal, and all the different combinations, permutations, and of that raga. So I realized, okay, there is so much more to Rag Yaman than just knowing that this bhajan is based in Rag Yaman. So I told, how can I do that? Because I was not able to repeat a single line which he was telling. Hmm.
Can you give us a glimpse of it so maybe others can get inspired?
Well, yeah. So suppose this is sa pa sa. So these are the notes. Whereas Rag Yaman, the simple notes are ni re ga ma dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. So this is avaroha and avaroha, ascending and descending. But in Bada Khayal you go like sa ni dha. You delve deep into the note. Dhani re dhani dhaga re ni dha sa. तुम हो बाबा अंतर्यामी 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 So, of course, I cannot go for the whole Bada Khayal. So I was just giving a glimpse of what you can do with Rag Yaman. But at that time, I was totally, I didn't know how to do these things, extrapolate and give your own interpretations. And I asked Sanjeev Barbara, how can I learn to do these things, spontaneously? And not only that, he was giving ni re ga ma da ni re sa ni da ba ma ga ma da ni sa ni pa sa ni da ba ma ni da ma pa ga ma ga re sa ni da ni re ga ma pa. All these, he knew what he was singing basically. He was aware of what he was.
Actually, he also gave new dimension to bhajan singing in his era, in that era of ours. He was one of the best singers we had in our
Amazing.
student. No doubt
So
about it.
he showed me what is possible in that simple thing. And then he told me, go to Bombay and learn. Go to Gandharva Mahavidyalaya and learn. Tell Sanjeev Barbara I sent you. He was that kind of a guy. Yeah, amazing. And I did go to Bombay. And I found my Ustad Pandit Dayal Thakur Sahab. And even while I was going for that, during that train journey, Swami came to my dream and in a very, very big voice, huge voice, he told, you will find final consolation at the Guru's lotus feet. You will find final consolation at the Guru's lotus feet. Now I was quite confused. For me, Guru, everything is Bhagwan. So later on, I realized, okay, at least a consolation. This Guru was so kind, so generous, so loving, that it was definitely God sent for me to have found such a wonderful person.
So, how many years did you learn from him?
About 6 years. And Guru told, Sai kahan se aaya hai? That's why you could learn so fast. In 2 years, I was able to learn Rag Bhopali and Bada Khayal in that. And in the following years, he taught me some more ragas and how to sing Bada Khayal, Ghazal, stuff like that. But then it was sent by Swami,
Ajnish, since you have really created the mood, may I request you to choose any bhajan of your taste and choice
Mm-hmm.
and show us how the ragas are intertwined in the bhajan and play with them. Sing it
Okay.
unplugged. Sing it unplugged. And audience who are listening to us, and if you have any favorite bhajan of Ajnish that you would like him to sing, you may please send in your requests. Yes, Ajnish.
Well, uh, say, Shirdi Sai, Shirdi Sai, Parti Sai, Prem Sai, Gun gaun, Prem Sai Gun gaun, Janam Janam मैं गाऊं साई तेरो नाम साई तेरो नाम जन्म जन्म मैं गाऊं जन्म जन्म मैं गाऊं जन्म जन्म मैं गाऊं शिरडी साई 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 शिरडी साई परती साई प्रेम साई गुण गाऊं जन्म जन्म मैं गाऊं Actually, I
Beautiful.
mean, I really do not play around with Sai bhajans much.
Good.
We can do a lot with Sai bhajans. It's like a bandish. But normally, I feel it's already enough. You know, I I I just believe in singing as it is because that's the whole thing about Sai bhajans. You don't add in or you don't subtract. You don't extrapolate and make it long or big and stuff like that. So I do a lot of alaps and play around with the ragas with other stuff. But with Sai bhajans, I have got a natural inclination to stick
To
to what it
remain.
is
Yes,
because Sai bhajan, I feel it's you don't mess around with it too much.
certainly. Ajnish, I
Yes,
have one more request come in, and then I
Anji.
will ask you another question. So your song is "Mujhe Darsh Dikhao Bhagwan." I think couple of people have asked the same bhajan. I don't know. Maybe
मुझे दरस
you have
दिखा बाबा
Mujhe. Yeah, that one.
मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान हे साईनाथ भगवान मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी, तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी, दीजो मेरे प्रभु अमृत वाणी, दीजो मेरे प्रभु अमृत वाणी। तुम हो मेरे आत्माराम बाबा, तुम हो मेरे आत्माराम साई, पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम बाबा, पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम, मुझे दर से दिखाओ भगवान।
So sweet.
It's
Thank
a
you. Thank you.
great composition in Rag Darbari.
Such
I
a
have heard
beautiful
this
composition.
being sung by Kote sir.
Yes.
It's inimitable. It's amazing the way he sings so easily.
Yeah. His voice is amazing, and hopefully we'll get him sooner to hear it again from him.
Absolutely. It will be a great, great thing to have him here.
So, Ajnish, when was the last interaction and conversation physically with Bhagwan?
With Bhagwan, it was the year 2010, January 3rd. Of course, we had our alumni program on January 1st, and then some boys left. But we were hanging around for a couple of days, and on 3rd of January in the evening, Swami asked how many old boys are still there, and then Swami told them to come in front, right in front of the samadhi, right? And then we rushed like we used to do in our college days, sat on each other's laps, and hustle and bustle of that moment. We were back in our college days, and suddenly a microphone was thrust in front of me, and Sonam sir, we told start Bhajan. And in all that hustle and bustle and the panting and breathlessness, I started singing Sai ke darbar mein aao. And I realized I was singing all off, and the beat, because the we are
Please
not.
sing two lines. Please sing two
Yeah.
lines. It will be nice for people to get an idea which bhajan we are talking about.
I
These
was
are
singing
yours, like trademark bhajans of yours.
Sai ke darbar mein aao, मधुर मधुर संगीत सुनाओ, साई के दरबार में आओ, वीणा वेणु मृदंग बजाओ, राग सुधा रस सबको पिलाओ, मधुर मधुर संगीत सुनाओ, साई के दरबार में आओ. Now what was happening is, I was so nervous, and I was not able to hear the tabla beat from the speakers. So I was singing all over the place, and the sur was everywhere. And I am realizing Swami is giving me such an opportunity to sing after such a long time, and I'm really spoiling this bhajan. And Swami is not stopping also. So waiting for the signal when Swami does this and you stop the bhajan, but he's not. And then I go into the fast beat. Darbar mein aa, darbar mein aa, darbar. And Swami seems to be enjoying, but I am feeling terrible inside, right? And even some of the brothers are giving me a look to say that you are singing it all wrong. And luckily that bhajan ended. And when the session is going on, Swami calls me to the railing where Swami is there, and he asked me again, "Where are you from?" I told Darjeeling, and Swami said, "Good." And then he created a locket for me, put it around my neck, and that was such a moment for me. My wife was also there. Meghna was watching from the ladies' side, and it was a time of absolvement for me because I had in my mind that after doing the Living God series, some people had told me you have commercialized Sai bhajans. You know, a Sai student has done this and that. I had a kind of guilt in me, but I did not know that that particular act of doing recordings of Puttaparthi bhajans would help so many devotees. And through Bhagwan's wish, it it went spread all over, and actually, it's sold in the trust also that particular those albums. But then Bhagwan, in that one gesture, he told, "Okay, you're doing fine," you know. And I wept a lot that day, thanking Bhagwan, because somebody doing music, right, and uh, you're being questioned, your your integrity is being questioned. It's kind of painful thing, right? Because it's my career, it's my life that I've chosen. I could have taught somewhere, I could have done a job somewhere, but I took up this cross of Bhagwan, and you know, I carried on singing bhajan.
How can he let you down?
Yes, and
So it's
then
such a beautiful.
that particular event was my last interaction with Bhagwan, and it really ended, as I told you, on a very very high note. That photo of me with Bhagwan is my last photo with Swami.
So sweet.
And
Let me show you some more pictures, Ajnish, and trigger your
mhm.
memories a little bit more. So I
Oh
believe you
yes,
got a gold medal,
this
all
was
round gold medal.
all round in the year 1994, I think. This was for karate, basically,
Hmm.
during the after the sports meet.
It's a very cute
Yeah,
picture of Bhagwan blessing you like that.
so happy.
What is
Yeah.
he holding in his hand? Pen or
He
something?
did create a bracelet for me that time.
Aha. Okay.
Apart from the shield, I remember in that packet of gifts, Bhagwan hands over to the recipient. I got a shield, then a cup filled with chocolates, you know, yeah, and then I got a uh, what do you call that branded perfume, John Paul Gaultier perfume,
So sweet. So sweet.
and yeah, yeah. This was during our alumni. You can see Sonam sir, Shantanu Dixit.
I love
Really.
this picture and look at all your faces focused on Bhagwan and everybody has a beautiful smile. Look at Hariharan, Sonam.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so beautiful. This is
This
Kodain.
was Kodaikanal 92.
I think Swami used to take pictures with all the boys with his car. That was like a
This
standard pose. Hmm.
this is
Look at
my
Bhagwan
friend
wearing shades.
shades. Yeah, we Swami used to take us for an outing to the forest.
Aha.
Yes, this is my friend Santosh Pai, fellow singer.
Yes.
This is outside Sai Shruti. I think it's called Sai Shruti, right, in
Yeah.
Kodaikanal.
Yes, yes.
Mm. Mm.
This is lovely pictures.
Yeah.
This hat picture is with every batch.
Yes, yes. Swami makes everybody buy a hat. Basically, see Swami's purpose now. He tries to support the local cottage industrials. So he makes
Yes,
all the boys buy the local hats there.
they wait for Bhagwan to come.
Oh
They
yes,
always
yes.
they know that.
Hmm. This was
And
during. This was the last time I went to Parthi
yeah,
with
this is Alumni Day.
alumni day.
Alumni Day. Yes. Ajnish,
Yeah.
let me ask you a very, I think we were, it's beautiful to hear your bhajans and everything. Today, after 2011, how did the things change for you post 2011?
Actually, during that time, 24th of April 2011, I was in Trinidad at Brother Faiz's house. And it was Brother Faiz's birthday also. So I came out with a small gift for him and I was singing Happy Birthday to you to Brother Faiz. And he started crying because he had just got news of Swami's, leaving his body.
Oh, you were there in Trinidad that time. Okay.
Yes. And that particular moment, it was, my wife was also with me. She cried on continuously for 3 days. It was, we didn't know how to handle it, right? We had never been prepared for that moment. But then a strange strength came over me, after a couple of days. I avoided all phone calls because since I was there, people started calling in and, asking for advice. But what advice could I give? And then there were some things about Swami said he would leave at 96 and the lunar calendar and stuff like that, and Swami was there with you for one moment. That's by itself an eternity. That's enough. So I was given these strange lines, inspired lines to tide me over those questions, those barrage of questions. One touch, one glimpse of him was enough. Why do you worry about all these silly things now? Right? And I believe it. I believe it. I spent 1 second with Bhagwan. It's enough for me. I don't need another second or another lifetime. I don't need another avatar also. I don't need some other person calling himself an avatar to, because it's fulfilled already. I am complete now. I have been fulfilled. I have received that. So that was my energy. Uh, it was a very trying time, right? And and after I went to Puttaparthi, I remember singing Hari Om Tat Sat and I couldn't sing at all in front of the Samadhi, right? Because those memories creep back to you. Swami being there and tapping away his hand and his all beautiful posture of, that with his hands in the air. That is that one picture of him in my mind keeps me on and on. I have to be that. That's what I hope for. I have to be that. I have to reach that place. That is me. I feel it's always in my heart. Whenever I see a picture of Bhagan in that mudra, in that complete bliss, Satchidananda Swarupan, I feel that is me. I have to reach there.
So sweet. Ajnish, there's another song request, and I would like you to sing that, and we'll continue. Sai Baba Sakal Bhuvan Ke Data.
Okay. It comes with an alap, so.
Please, Alap will be nice.
चरण कमल पर शीश कृष्ण नमाऊं, अर्पण करूं तुझे नमस्कार, भक्ति भाव के ये स्वर माला कर लेना बाबा स्वीकार। साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता, साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता, साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता। रूप मनोहर कमलाकांता, युगावतार साई बाबा, दया करो पति बाबा, शिरडी परती हृदय निवासी, प्रशांति सुंदर साई, प्रशांति सुंदर साई, साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता।
Ajnish, once your professional life started, I know you have had the privilege of traveling around the world. How do you see his hand in your travels, in your concerts, in your professional life, and in your whole life per se today?
Yeah, well, for a musician, uh, it takes some time to get settled and financially, economically, right? So basically, while traveling, the question of visa arises, and the embassies ask you a lot of documentation for your assets and your credentials. There was a time when the bank used to refuse me credit cards because there was not enough credibility. And musicians will understand this, and especially if you are going for a music program, the immigration immediately becomes very cautious of you, because you are a musician, you're going there to collect money, to have a new career, because you're basically not so settled in life. But then, of course, I remember once during an immigration, they saw Sai Baba Bhajans, something on the documentation. And then that person in the immigration officer, he asked me, "Have you seen Sai Baba?" I told him, yes, I studied there. I spent 7 years. And my God, you were with Sai Baba. You have seen him. You've spoken to him. I told, well, yes, yes, I was a student. And he told me, "See, I have tried so many years to go for darshan." And he kept on talking about this. He was like, he was in a different zone, He's supposed to be strict and, checking the documents, but he started talking on and on. There was a huge queue behind me, 20, 25 people waiting in the middle of the night. And he kept on talking with me for 20 minutes.
Which place was this?
This was in Delhi.
Okay.
And New Delhi is the place where the immigration officers don't know where Trinidad is. They have to check up on their journals and books. So, it's a tough time to get through the immigration. And they start calling in some senior officers, this guy wants to go to Trinidad. It's quite a big chess game out there. Well, And there was this guy asking me about Sai Baba, and then he he walked out of his that booth
Cubicle.
cubicle, and then he took me, walked me down the aisle, and like a VIP, showed me the way as if I didn't know. And he told, you can shop here and there, and your gate is there. And I was getting another kind of treatment just because of one name, that is Sai Baba. Imagine if it was just a musician going, it would have been a different story altogether. But just because Sai Baba is attached to this musician's name, he gets a different treatment altogether. There have been many, 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 many times that I have, you know, in London once, the first time I ever went abroad, the lady in the immigration, oh, she just saw the visa. Yeah, the visa that was stamped on my. And she said, oh, you are doing a Sai Baba film. And it was strange, because there was no mention of film or movie or whatever. It was just Sri Satya Sai, something alumni association had called me, Brother Viru and Giridhar and all. So you're doing a film. I didn't answer anything, and she just stamped. And people were saying, okay, you might get sent right from Heathrow back to India also. So the name comes in and it creates magic.
Let me show you some pictures of your visit. And if you get any memories, let us know where it is from.
Sure, sure, sure.
So here
Uh,
is,
this was this was in Thailand, Bangkok. Brother
hmm,
Randip Bhattacharya, one of our ex-students, he had called me for some programs there. It was a wonderful experience. This was in Bangkok. Well, this was, if you see the tableist on the right of me, he is Muthu Kumar, a very,
yeah,
very famous Sai student. He learned with Zakir Hussain, and this was in Mauritius.
yes. Muthu is also a professional tabla player now.
Tabla player,
Percussionist, he
yes.
teaches.
This was in Mauritius, and okay, this is with my team uh, for doing a ghazal program in Darjeeling. This one's also Mauritius, the Mahatma Gandhi Auditorium. Mauritius is an amazing place because the Sai devotees run the entire country almost.
Yes. It's a
The
small little
broadcasting,
island,
yeah,
but wonderful
broadcasting
people.
channel is run by a Sai devotee. So the whole country had to watch this particular program that evening. And this is with brother Ravin Gunasekar, with the total Gunasekar family in Singapore, along with my wife there. And
Yes.
yes,
Meghna, that's your wife,
yes,
Meghna.
that's Meghna. That's brother Ravin. And this is Randip Bhattacharya. He is currently doing an app which has specially one section which has Sai Bhajans, karaoke app called Star Munch, and Sai Bhajans, which I am also working on. And it's a great, great app. So you
Lovely.
can sing bhajans, and the chorus, all the musicians, everything will be
Is
in
it
there.
ready to go?
Yes, yes, it's running.
Okay, good. What is the name of the app?
Star Munch.
Star Munch. Okay.
Star Munch, yes.
This is Trinidad.
This is Trinidad, right? You can see Prashant and the
Yeah, it's
tabla.
Rush.
This one's in Trinidad. Yes.
I believe your wife Meghna had the blessing of seeing Bhagwan at that time in Trinidad.
Oh yes, she was watching a boy just cross-legged in the audience. Then she suddenly became all white and pale, and I was wondering what's wrong with my wife. I cannot, attend to her while on the stage. And afterwards, she told me she saw Swami sitting in the same posture. there. In
Wow.
in Trinidad, that center's name was Paget,
Bhagwan
and they
Sai
do
Center.
Paget Sky Center. Dalby and his wife
Yes, yes.
Veera, they do amazing service. It's amazing. They build houses and donate to uh, the poor.
That's another beautiful island, a miraculous island. Yeah, as you mentioned, they have a reputation of service, heavy service, and they make houses. Actually, they have a speed now. I think within 3 hours, they complete a
Yes,
house and
I
hand
did.
over to the
Last
people.
time I attended one of the house making process. We
Yeah,
went early before the sun rose, and while the sun rises, they do the Gayatri and they start building the house. Of course, the
yeah,
foundation's laid, so the houses are just like ready-made pieces. You just have to fit
yeah.
in the walls. But of course, there's a lot of carpentry and labor
Oh,
involved.
it's all ready made, but yes, it takes time. But at 3 hours,
Yes,
they do it fast, and it's furnished
yes,
now. Furnished
yes.
now. Very good.
And then they hand over the house and
Hmm.
sing bhajans, and it's a great, great thing they do. This was in London, in Leicester.
Wonderful. So Ajnish, it's a wonderful thing to see, how Bhagwan has, been kind and gracious in taking you around. So, but having you on this program, I think it'll be apt to hear another bhajan of yours, and then we'll talk about Sai Katha.
Oh, yes. People ask me to explain about, share experiences. It's easy to share experiences. I'm not much of a speaker, and the only time I speak English is probably when somebody like you calls me up or some friends calls me up. It's a couple of minutes in a year or during a program. So so when people ask me to explain how life was with Bhagwan and all, and how his grace is, and the philosophical aspect of it's tough. So I will always resort to this particular song. साई तुम्हारी नूर की रंगत मैं क्या कहूँ तेरी
Irshad.
रहमतों की ओके साई तुम्हारी नूर की रंगत मैं क्या कहूँ साई तुम्हारी नूर की रंगत मैं क्या कहूँ तेरे करिश्मों की रहमत मैं क्या कहूँ मैं क्या कहूँ नहीं देखा खुदा तुझसा मसीहा भी नहीं कोई जो यूं फरियाद सुनते हो बिन बोले पुकारे ही साई तुम्हारे नूर की रंगत मैं क्या कहूँ So, I mean, basically, there aren't any words to
How can you describe his
explain his
glory?
glory, his magnificence, right?
Noor ki rangat is his effulgence, the
Effulgence.
brilliance of his effulgence. How do I describe, O Lord? Beautiful. Anish, recently we also attempted to pen down Bhagwan's Katha, that story of his life in
Yes.
Hindi. We had it in Telugu, the childhood portion under Sai Katha, and then we were inspired. So And Ajnish, you were instrumental in putting music to it. It is still in the progress, but I thought it'll be nice if you can share something about that and give us a flavor of how it is coming up and what stage it is in.
Yes, let me tell the audience that Brother Abhimanyu Kaul has been our during most of our alumni meets and during most of our programs. It's been his words, of course, put by Swami through him,
Yes,
that
you
we
can't
have
say as much.
sung a lot of his words, his lyrics, and it's definitely so inspiring. And this particular project that you proposed of doing Sai Katha in Hindi, and this came in a time when the COVID, the pandemic had just started, and it kept me busy and occupied, and constantly in touch with in inside rather than thinking about all the difficult things going on around us. So this gave me some relief actually. So composing this has been not only my pleasure, but it has been very therapeutical to me, especially.
So,
So let me sing the first uh, couple of lines from there. मधुर दिव्य है साई कथा, नवरस पूर्ण है सत्य कथा। मधुर दिव्य है साई कथा, नवरस पूर्ण है सत्य कथा। शुभ आशीष की संपदा लाती, शुभ आशीष की संपदा लाती, संताप ताप से मुक्त कराती, संताप ताप से मुक्त कराती। मधुर दिव्य है साई कथा, नवरस पूर्ण है साई कथा। Would you translate it for?
Madhur Divya hai Sai Katha. Melodious, sweet, melodious, and divine is the story of Lord Sai. Navarasapurna hai Satya Katha. It is infused with Navarasas, the 9 flavors or 9 stream. It is infused and innate with that. That is the story of our Satya, the truth, Sai Katha.
Then शुभ आशीष की संपदा लाती।
Shubha Ashish ki Sampada Lati is it brings, it heralds the good omen and blessings, the effulgence wealth of blessings it bestows on people. Santap Paap se Mukt Karati. It liberates you from the pain and sins accumulated over the lives. It liberates us from that also. That is the power of Sai Katha, the glory of Satya Katha.
Beautiful. Before I sing another couplet from this Sai Katha, which you have penned down, this Sai Katha goes on to describe Swami's childhood, his birth, then the miracles, and then his different. He's announcing that he is the avatar of Shirdi, his entire life story, then his projects, the water project, and then the services he has done to mankind, and ultimately ends up uh, in the final uh, on the Samadhi episode. So the another couplet that you have written is जो भी सुने साई कथा, दूर हो सबकी मन की व्यथा। जो भी सुने साई कथा, दूर हो सबकी मन की व्यथा। जो भी साई शरण में आता, जो भी साई शरण में आता, मन वांछित फल उनसे पाता। मन वांछित फल उनसे पाता। जो भी सुने साई कथा, दूर हो सबकी मन की व्यथा।
All those who listen to the glory of Sai, their grievances, their pains of in the heart would disappear, and everybody will be fulfilled with the boons of their life.
Beautiful.
I pray, Ajnish, that Bhagwan gives you strength to continue this musical offerings, and hopefully you can, get the strength and the support to finish this compositions and offer it to the world, offer at his lotus feet so world can enjoy, and another way of remembering Bhagwan. So I
Absolutely.
thank you very much, brother, for all your sharing. Anything you want to say finally before we close? Any message, any song, anything you want to convey your heart to all of us?
Well, first of all, Abhi, I would like to thank you for making this happen. And this, I always pray whenever I go abroad to do Sai Bhajan programs or any interaction for that matter. I always pray to Bhagwan that let this time that everybody is spending be beneficial for everyone, right? Let it not be just about uh, doing a show or a program. Let it be about uh, what Swami wants. Let it be about what Sai would have wanted us to do together. Let it be about spiritual uplifting. So let me end my. I don't know how intelligible I was, because as I have already told you, I am mostly a singer, not much of a orator. So I would like to sing to you one bandish which this journey with Sai music has
Sure.
currently placed me in this at this point of time. So I've composed a few lines. कौन जाने जान अपार, कौन जाने जान अपार, बूंद क्या जाने सागर सार, कौन जाने जान अपार, रैन जाने चंद्रमा, दिवस जाने दिनकरा, रैन जाने चंद्रमा, दिवस जाने दिनकरा, मनवा जाने भव की भाव, मनवा जाने भव की भाव, आत्म जाने परम सार, कौन जाने जान अपार, कौन जाने जान अपार।
Beautiful. Thank you, Brother Ajnish.
Thank you,
Thank
Abhi.
you for your time and bringing us Bhagwan with such a melody and so many beautiful memories of bhajans and your stories with Bhagwan. It's always a pleasure to hear about him and his bhajans. Continue singing.
Yes,
I
Abhi.
pray.
It has been such a wonderful, revealing time for me, sitting at home, locked down, and talking to you has brought back those wonderful memories, and along with it, the energy and the spiritual, that josh, once again back into this dull and you know, dull time, so as to say. It has refilled me again,
That
definitely.
is
Thank you so
obviously.
much.
Thank you very much, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And the video will be available on the channel, and as always, you can watch it and share it as you feel. And ever be grateful to Bhagwan to continue to bless us and give us these opportunities to be immersed in His glory and His stories. Thank you. Sai Ram, Sai Ram Ajnish.
Sai Ram.